The first time they handed me a belt instead of an apology, I was 9. The last time I was 17, and that's when I finally dropped it. I grew up in a house where obedience was the currency, where my brother Evan could smash a vase and I'd still be blamed because I hadn't vacuumed the hallway that morning, where girl meant servant and son meant royalty. It wasn't just chores, it was language. You need to earn your spot in this family. She'll make a decent housewife if nothing else. Don't talk back, be useful. That last one I heard more times than I heard my own name. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Evan never did dishes. Never folded a shirt. He had his own bathroom. I was expected to clean both. My parents said it built character. When I asked why Evan didn't need any, my dad said, "Because he's a boy. You'll understand when you're older." I'm older now, and I understand. It wasn't about gender. It was about control. It was a Sunday morning when everything broke. I had just finished ironing Evan's clothes, his clothes for a party I wasn't even invited to. I came downstairs to find him sitting at the table, drinking the last glass of orange juice. "Did you save any for me?" I asked, sweating through my shirt. He laughed. "You're lucky I don't make you peel the oranges." I snapped, not loudly, not even rudely. I just said, "Peel them yourself." He stared. So did my mom. "What did you just say?" she said slowly, like her ears couldn't believe it. "I'm done," I said, breathing fast. "I'm not doing his chores anymore. I'm not his maid." That's when my father stormed in like a switch had flipped somewhere upstairs. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't care. He went straight to the drawer. The belt drawer. I backed away. He didn't. "You've forgotten your place," he said, looping the belt in his hand like it was a dance he missed. My mom didn't stop him. Evan smiled like it was TV. I didn't beg. I didn't run. I stood there, and when the leather hit my side, I didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt. It did. But because the pain finally felt clean. It was the last time. I walked out of the house that night with a rolled-up sleeping bag, $3, and a cracked rib. I didn't leave a note. I didn't take a single thing that belonged to them, not even the toothbrush they made me share with my cousin during holidays, to save space. I lived in a friend's basement for a while. Her name was Lila. Her parents weren't perfect, but they looked at me with something I never saw in my own home: concern. Not disappointment, not judgment, just human concern. I healed. Slowly. My back scabbed. My breathing eased. But what never healed was the quiet. I kept thinking they'd call, even to yell, even to threaten. But they didn't, because in their eyes I didn't exist anymore. And honestly, that was the deepest cut. They erased me like I was dust on their floor. And that's when I decided, if I was nothing to them, then that's exactly what I'd leave them with. Nothing. Not a scandal, not a blog post, not a headline. Just silence, but sharpened into a weapon. And I was going to use it exactly how they trained me, with precision, with patience, and with no mercy. The thing about my parents was, they never hit to hurt, not in their minds. They hit to remind. To remind me that my role in their house wasn't to be loved, it was to serve. So when I left, they weren't angry. They were offended. Like a hammer realizing the nail had walked away. They didn't try to find me. But I knew it wouldn't last. Because they didn't love me. They just used me. And eventually they'd miss what I gave them. Meals, silence, labor, obedience. And when they did, I'd be ready. It didn't take long. 3 weeks later, a message showed up in my inbox. "Mom, Evan has an awards dinner and none of his suits are ironed. You need to come home and stop being ridiculous." Not, "How are you?" Not, "Are you safe?" Just pressing domestic needs. I didn't answer. A week later, another one. "Dad, this is childish. No one's going to put up with your attitude in the real world. Come home and apologize and we'll let you earn your place again." Let me. That one made me laugh. I screenshotted the messages. Not for revenge, not for evidence. Just as a reminder of why I'd left. By then, I was staying with Lila full-time. Her parents cleared out their storage room, gave me a mattress. I had nothing, but I was safer than I'd ever been. And in that stillness, I started listening to myself. I remembered how, even as a kid, I was the one who memorized the grocery list, knew exactly how many teaspoons of bleach went into the laundry, how my parents used to brag at church that our daughter is so mature she practically runs the house. Yeah, I did. I ran everything. So I started writing it all down. Not for anyone else, for me. A list. Everything I did. Every single task I handled in that house since I was 10. Cooking, cleaning, scheduling, grocery tracking, ironing, meal prep, tending to my brother's bathroom, scrubbing his vomit out of the rug after parties I wasn't allowed to attend. It wasn't just chores. It was a ledger. It was debt. And they owed. But not in money. In isolation. In emptiness. In the very things I used to give them effortlessly, daily. I found out a month later that they were falling apart. I ran into a neighbor, Mrs. Dorsey, while helping Lila's mom with yard work. She squinted at me. "Your mama okay?" I saw her struggling with groceries last week. Said Evan's got too much on his plate to help. I shrugged. Guess she'll manage. She kept talking. That's when I found out the real cracks were showing. Evan had been late to school for 2 weeks straight. My father had started coming into work with wrinkled shirts. My mother had asked the church for meal assistance, lying and saying she had a back injury. But the best part? They were too proud to admit I was gone. They told everyone I'd gone off to school early, that I was getting life experience. Meanwhile, they were rotting inside their own routines, drowning in the very structure I used to hold up. And I didn't need to write an article. I didn't need to go public. I just needed to do nothing. Because I was the thing that kept their world spinning. And now the machine was jamming, screeching, breaking down. Without yelling, without scandal. Just absence, just silence. And it was louder than any belt they'd ever cracked. They stopped reaching out after that box. I didn't expect them to. When I dropped it on their porch, every scrap of obligation they'd ever tossed at me, birthday cards with backhanded messages, the cheap locket my mom gave me to remind you we didn't have to keep you, every list they ever made taped to the fridge with my name on it, I didn't leave a note. The box spoke for itself. I had nothing more to say. And they finally understood that silence wasn't absence, it was punishment. A sentence they'd serve every day, wondering when the sound of their own voices would stop echoing off walls no one cleaned for them anymore. They weren't used to silence. They were used to reaction, used to me crying, pleading, performing. But now I had vanished, and their house started to reflect it. Lila's cousin lived 2 streets over. She used to pass their place on the way to work. She started giving me updates I didn't ask for. Your mom was in the front yard today trying to fix the garden by herself. She looked tired. Evan was dragging his laundry to the laundromat in a trash bag. I think your dad fell. He has a cane now. I'd nod, smile, keep folding flyers for my nursing classes. I didn't ask for more. Because I didn't need their pain explained. I just needed it felt. Then came the real test. My grandmother passed. Not the cruel one who once slapped me for eating before the boys. No, this was my dad's mom, the only person in that whole family who ever once looked me in the eye and said, "You deserve better." She never protected me, but she saw me. That was enough. The funeral was quiet. Small church, closed casket, no drama until I arrived. I came alone, no makeup, black jeans. My presence was simple, clean, complete. Heads turned. People whispered. My mother froze when she saw me. My father looked like he'd aged 20 years. His belt didn't hang from his waist anymore, but the weight of who he'd hit still followed him in every step. They didn't speak. Not because they didn't want to, but because they didn't know how. That was the real silence, not mine, theirs. They had nothing left to use. After the service, I stood outside in the sunlight, holding the folded memorial program in my hand. Abigail, my cousin, not to be confused with my golden brother, approached me slowly. "They're falling apart?" she said softly without preamble. "I know." They're afraid of you. I looked at her. They should be. She exhaled. They say you're heartless now, cold, ruthless. I smirked. They trained me well. Abigail didn't laugh. She said, they're selling the house. My fingers twitched, but not with joy, just finality. I didn't want it. I didn't need it. Oh, she added, they're not doing it for money. They just can't handle it anymore. The routine, the chores, the empty rooms. They say it feels haunted. It was. I haunted that house. With my silence, with my absence, with every inch of myself they used like a sponge and threw away. Now the walls whispered everything they tried to forget. 3 months later, I graduated, not with a stage or caps flying, just a pinning ceremony for my nursing program. I wore white scrubs, my name tag clipped to my chest. Lila sat in the front row. No one else did. I didn't invite my parents, or Evan. They weren't dead. But in my life, they were buried deep. And I kept the shovel. Years passed. I moved into a small place of my own warm, quiet mine. I never changed my number, but they never used it again. I got the occasional update from mutual people. Evan bounced through jobs, got evicted from an apartment after trashing it. My dad stopped driving after an incident at the grocery store he passed out from exhaustion. My mother joined some online family caregiver group and posted things like the burden of ungrateful children. They lived inside a narrative where I was cruel, ungrateful, a cautionary tale. Let them. Because the truth was heavier than they could hold. I was the one who cooked every meal, folded every shirt, ironed every uniform, smiled through every slap, washed away every insult. And when I walked away, they didn't just lose a daughter. They lost the structure that kept their house breathing. They raised me like a tool, so I let them rust. They treated me like I was disposable, so I disposed of them. And when people ask why I don't visit, I just say, I left with nothing, and that's exactly what I gave back. Now, when I wash dishes, they're mine. When I wake up early, it's for Patience, not a screaming brother who wouldn't wipe his own shoes. When I fold laundry, it's 2 loads a week, not 10. And every Friday, I take myself out. Just me. No one ordering me to earn it. No one watching me to make sure I'm useful. Just a girl who left hell and never looked back. I don't want revenge that burns. I want revenge that echoes. And every quiet day I live in peace, that echo gets louder in their empty, crumbling house. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where